The year is 1212. In our timeline, the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa sealed the fate of Muslim Spain. The Almohads, a North African dynasty of reformist zeal, suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of Castile, Aragon, and Navarre. From that moment, the Reconquista gained unstoppable momentum. City after city fell until 1492, when Ferdinand and Isabella entered Granada, ending nearly 8 centuries of Muslim presence in Iberia. But in this alternate world, the battle unfolds differently. The Almohads, hardened by their victories in Morocco and Andalusia, do not falter. Their cavalry smashes the Christian coalition. Alfonso VIII of Castile falls on the field, his banner trampled. The Christian kingdoms, instead of pushing south, are thrown back north into the mountains. The Reconquista stalls and then collapses. The immediate consequences are shocking. Instead of retreat, the Almohads surge forward. Their armies sweep into Leon, Aragon, and even the Pyrenees. Towns that in our history became bastions of Christianity now fly the Almohad banner. Toledo, captured by Christians in 1085 in real history, is never regained. Its mosques remain intact, its scholars preserved. The map of Iberia tilts permanently toward Islam. Zoom into lives. A Christian farmer in Castile, who in our world slowly reclaimed land for his descendants, here swears allegiance to Almohad rulers. He keeps his land but pays jizya, a tax for non-Muslims. His grandchildren grow bilingual, speaking Arabic alongside Romance dialects. A Muslim artisan in Seville, who in our timeline fled or converted under Christian rule, thrives under Almohad protection, carving geometric patterns into palace walls. A Jewish merchant in Cordoba, spared the persecutions of later Catholic Spain, prospers, his caravans ranging from North Africa to France. Culturally, the victory extends al-Andalus's golden age. In our world, Cordoba in the 10th century dazzled with libraries, observatories, and gardens. Under victorious Almohads, this brilliance not only survives but deepens. Universities emerge earlier in Iberia, blending Islamic, Jewish, and Christian thought. Aristotle and Plato, already treasured by Muslim philosophers, are debated centuries before they reach Paris. Medicine, astronomy, and mathematics race ahead. The scientific revolution might dawn in Seville rather than London. Religion, however, is a point of tension. The Almohads were strict reformers, harsher than their predecessors. In North Africa, they demanded conformity, even forcing Jews and Christians into Islam. In Iberia, a victorious Almohad regime likely imposes similar rigor. This hardline stance alienates many, but also forges a distinctly Almohad identity, an Iberia united not by tolerance, as in earlier Cordoba, but by militant Islam. Christian resistance lingers in remote mountains, but never rises to power. The great cathedrals of Spain, Burgos, Toledo, Seville are never built, their stones turned instead into mosques. Politically, Europe reels. France, directly on the frontier, faces an Iberia under Muslim rule. The Pyrenees become a frontier of faith. Crusading zeal intensifies, but unlike in our world, Christian kings cannot spare armies for Jerusalem. The Holy Land may remain under Muslim control far longer, as knights are tied up fighting at home. The Crusades lose momentum. Zoom again to individuals. A French knight in 1250, instead of sailing for Acre, rides south into Catalonia, clashing with Almohad cavalry. A Catalan fisherman, who in our timeline traded with Christian Barcelona, here sells his catch in Muslim Valencia, his children raised under Islamic courts. A Moroccan governor, rewarded with land in Iberia, establishes a dynasty, his family entwined with the fate of Spain for centuries. The Renaissance shifts dramatically. In our world, the fall of Constantinople in 1453 pushed Greek scholars west, fueling Italy's rebirth. Here, Iberia itself is the beacon of knowledge. Manuscripts, preserved in Muslim Spain, spread across Europe through trade, not refugees. Florence still rises, but it does so in the shadow of Cordoba's libraries. The Italian Renaissance may be overshadowed by an Andalusian one, a fusion of Arabic precision and European artistry. Economically, an Almohad Iberia dominates trade. Controlling both the Mediterranean and Atlantic coasts, it becomes the bridge between Africa, Europe, and the New World. Spices and gold flow north from Africa, silver and wool flow south. Lisbon, Seville, and Cadiz bloom into global ports centuries before their Christian counterparts ever launched Columbus. The wealth of the Almohads turns Iberia into the richest corner of Europe. Colonization changes too. In our timeline, Ferdinand and Isabella funded Columbus in 1492 after uniting Spain. In this alternate world, there is no Catholic Spain. The Almohads, ruling a maritime power, fund their own expeditions. Muslim fleets sail west into the Atlantic. Perhaps the first to reach the Caribbean are not Spaniards with crosses, but Almohad sailors carrying the crescent. The New World becomes an Islamic frontier. Mosques rise in Havana, Quranic verses echo in Mexico, but the ripple effects do not stop there. Without Catholic Spain, the Reformation unfolds differently. Luther's protests against indulgences and papal corruption still erupt, but the absence of Spain's Catholic might weakens Rome's ability to resist. Protestantism spreads more freely, reshaping Northern Europe faster. A fractured Christian Europe faces a united Muslim Iberia at its flank, altering geopolitics for centuries. The Ottoman Empire, too, finds an unexpected partner. In our history, the Ottomans and Spain clashed over the Mediterranean. Here, Almohad Iberia and the Ottomans coordinate, dominating the sea together. The Mediterranean becomes a Muslim lake. Venice and Genoa, strangled by Muslim trade power, decline. Europe looks west not out of ambition, but out of desperation, fleeing Islamic dominance. Zoom once more to personal stories. A peasant in Andalusia in 1400, in our world persecuted by the Inquisition, here farms peacefully, his prayers sung in Arabic. An English trader in 1500, instead of negotiating with Catholic Spaniards, bargains with Almohad officials in Cadiz, his goods weighed by Islamic law. A Maya villager in Yucatan, in 1520, sees sails on the horizon not Spanish galleons, but Almohad fleets, his fate entwined not with Christianity but with Islam. By the modern era, the consequences are staggering. Europe's colonization of the world looks completely different. Catholicism, never propelled by Spanish power, remains a smaller faith. Islam, carried by Almohad ships, spreads across the Atlantic. South America becomes a mix of indigenous, African, and Muslim cultures. The world speaks Arabic and Romance hybrids, not Spanish and Portuguese. Globalization wears the crescent, not the cross. Would this world be better? For learning and science, perhaps yes, the preservation of Andalusian knowledge fuels progress. For diversity, perhaps no, the Almohad's strict rule may stifle tolerance. But undeniably, an Almohad victory in 1212 reshapes everything from the Crusades to the New World, from the Renaissance to the Reformation. One last zoom into fates. A child in Seville in 1600, in our history raised Catholic, here grows up Muslim, studying Quran and Aristotle alike. A peasant in Castile, once dreaming of Christian kings, lives his whole life under Almohad governors. A scholar in Timbuktu, tied by trade to Cordoba, sends manuscripts north, knowing they will shape not just Africa but Europe itself. The Reconquista defined Spain, but if the Almohads had won, Spain would not be Spain, it would be al-Andalus forever. And the world, from the Americas to the Mediterranean, would remember Iberia not for conquistadors and cathedrals, but for caliphs and mosques. So, what do you think? Would an Almohad Iberia have led to a golden age of science and trade or an age of rigid conformity under militant Islam? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe to Sheriff Reactions. Hit the bell for daily flips where we explore not just what happened but what might have been.